Hey, welcome to the Composite Panel Builder demonstration series. And what we're going to talk about today is the setup of the Composite Panel Builder on your station and at your location. So once the software has already been installed, there's a setup dialog that we want to talk about, and that's pulled up by clicking on the first icon of the toolbar. And inside this setup dialog, all the information within this setup dialog is stored in a project INI. So you can have multiple projects running simultaneously with different finishes, different clients, everything's different. But your tabs in AutoCAD, when you switch the tab, it switches over to that project INI, which is driving that particular project. And it's in a different location, of course. So to get started, uh, you have a customer information part that you can just add information about a client, and you can then ultimately map these variables to your title sheet or your cut sheet. So if things change, you can modify it here, do a quick update on the drawing, and all the title sheets will update to the latest information. So that's it. You must have a job number because the job number is used to write reports to your reports folder, such as your cut list, your panel list, and other things. So the format of this has to follow Microsoft's naming convention. So no decimals and none of this and none of that. So just keep it simple. A project code is just something that some clients need in their settings so that they can create barcodes and stuff using that number. So it's not necessary, but you can use it for whatever you want. One of the other items you pick here is one of the system types. Is it a wet seal? Is it a range screen? Is it a Carter system? What is it? So you would decide what it is up front, and then you would go into the settings for that particular thing. So in this one, we're looking at the SAF Range screen. You can say the default value off the wall was such and such 2 inches, for example, here, and your standard default uh, return leg is an inch. Now, everybody says, well, we have 4 inch returns under Windows and blah 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 blah, and it doesn't matter because the program will let you identify different legs of a panel or sides of a panel and assign its own unique settings. So this is just for default settings. And here it's the reveal size, which is the C value, is set to 1/2. And like everything else, you can have one that's 16.2 inch reveal, if you have to. It's like, okay. So you get out of there. That's your settings for that. Then down here we have color selections and vendors. And all this information is stored within your master INI. And the master INI acts as the hub of all your projects. So all the things that are common to all jobs, like standard layering for your CNC and all that kind of stuff, is stored in this master INI so that everybody see on the same page if you're running multiple licenses of the software. And so in here, for example, we're looking at a Pollock, you know, and let's say we're looking for blue, something blue. So you just start blue and hit return. And then it says, hey, here's metallic blue 162 by 96. Do you want that one? It's like, sure. And then you say use it. And what it'll do, it'll set the settings here to that and then navigate down and have it ready to go. And then you could just say, we'll set that as my secondary or tertiary color for up to 8 colors you can have set here. So you do that. And then if you're saying, I really don't want blue. So you just say no. But you have to have at least one color. And you start at the top. You don't start at the bottom. You just start in the middle. You have to start at the top so that this is your primary color. Primary colors don't have a hatch pattern attached to them. But the secondary on it was you as you change the color of a panel or start with that color, it'll have a hatch pattern, and the hatch pattern is stored in the project INI. So if you need to change it, you can go in and change it to whatever you want. So that's fine. All right, we're done inside there. Cancel out. On this side, we have all the different settings, for example, rivet settings. This is where you would set up all your rivet patterns and stuff like that. I have my background turned to white right now. This is usually black, but it'll accents it a lot better on black over the white background. So rivet color, rivet layer, all those things are your standards. So once you've locked down what your rivet spacing is supposed to be, or pilot holes as some people call it, then that particular project INI doesn't, you don't need to set it every time you go into a project. You just copy your core project INI to start your next job, and then you copy it and just start the next job. So you're only changing the things that are that need to be changed, like the customer information, the material selection, and the location of where these output files are going to go. Like basically, where's the project folder for this particular job, and then you move on. So it's a one-time setup, but you can still have, for example, you could be in a high wind area where you have to have 12-inch spacing for your rivets or pilot holes, or standard is 16. So you still have the capability of tweaking the project INIs to fit your criteria. Underneath here, there's some manual commands if you ever find yourself needing to stretch a panel after you've built it in the flat panel design. You can say FIXR for fixed rivets, click on the route line, and it'll erase the existing and add the new spacing for you. So this is pretty common for all of them. Like if we look at the weep settings, it's repetition with a little bit of variation. You have layering, you have what the values are that you have currently set. If you're not sure what one of these measurements is, you can come in here and say, what is C? And you'll have a help description below to tell you what that actually is. So that's how that works. And then you got dimension settings and things like this. So one of the key elements of setting up a project, or not just setting up the system, is that you really want a template file that has your standard dimension styles, your standard fonts, your standard everything in that template file. So that, like down here, you can see just a little template. You could copy that and paste it into an architectural drawing, and the program is ready to go. If for some reason you forget to put the template in there, when you run the program, for example, maybe dimensions layer doesn't exist in this architectural drawing. So the program would default to the very first dimension, very first layer in this thing. Same with the dimension style. So it's kind of key on your part to make sure you follow the suit here and put the template in there. Okay, I'm just saying, you should have a template today anyways. So these are your settings for that. Okay, and then of course where the project's located, and then you click on that. What I like is a reports folder, a drawing folder, or a DXF folder, and a PDF folder, because PDFs is like the actual finished product that you can pull up, and the shop can open it, and they don't have to have killing all these trees. They can just look at it on the screen and then get their measurements. So if you put it up in the folder, you could set all of these at one time just by going quick set, and then you navigate to that folder where the project is located, and that's where the project DWG is located. And then you just click on that folder and say OK, and it'll reset all these to that location, and then you say save. Simple like that. Now once you do, this is what a typical project INI would look like. Let me drag a piece of it over here for you. So it's just recording all these dialog settings. That's what it does, and it needs to be located in the drawing folder of the project that you're working in. That's it. The master INI, one location. Project INI, every location of a project. So if you think of it as a wheel and a hub, the hub is the master INI, which is in your automation program folder, and the project INIs are the spokes out against the rim. That's it. Piece of cake. Okay, so let me get this out of here. I think basically that's it. So I'm going to exit out of here, and then come down here and show you that, oh, this is what the template would look like. You would have your dimension styles listed, all of them, and then your typical cut line, your route line. Again, everything here is black and white. But when you actually draw panels, it'll actually be what layers you told it to, what your cut line layer was, what your route line layer was. So, and your rivet hole spacings and stuff like that. Everything is on the layer it needs to be on. So that's all there is to the setup dialog. And again, you just click on the start button, pulls it up. If you don't need to start it, then don't. Okay. Hey, thanks for listening.